1. What the brain needs to stay healthy. I want you to imagine your brain as a garden, the most intricate, delicate garden nature has ever given us. If it isn't watered and nourished properly, the plants inside your brain cells slowly wither, losing their vitality. In over 25 years of working with patients over 40, I've learned this. Feeding your brain is far more than just filling your stomach. Your brain needs healthy fats like omega-3s to maintain the insulation around nerve fibers, allowing messages to travel smoothly. It needs antioxidants from fresh fruits and vegetables, like silent soldiers guarding against the rust of time. B vitamins, especially B6, B12, and folate, help your brain produce neurotransmitters, the very chemicals that shape your mood, memory, and focus. And let's not forget steady glucose, the only fuel your brain truly prefers, coming from whole grains and fruit rather than refined sugar. One of my patients, Frank, 72, once told me, "Doctor, I ate whatever I wanted my whole life, but now I realize my brain's been paying the price." After changing his diet, within just 3 months, his memory and clarity improved noticeably. Your brain works for you quietly, tirelessly, every single day. The question is, are you truly taking care of it the way it deserves? 2. Processed foods, the silent destroyer of your brain's blood vessels. I want you to imagine this. One morning, you walk into the kitchen, grab a few strips of bacon, fry them up, and let that mouth-watering aroma fill the house. Delicious, familiar, and maybe you've had breakfast like this for years. But deep inside, the tiny blood vessels feeding your brain are slowly losing their softness and flexibility. In over 25 years of practice, I've met far too many patients who thought, a little sausage, some fried food, or a quick breakfast sandwich won't hurt me. The truth is, the saturated fats, high sodium, and preservatives in processed foods gradually harden and narrow your arteries. Your brain, which depends on a steady flow of oxygen-rich blood, starts being starved little by little. I remember Frank, 64, proud of being strong as a bull, even though every morning he ate a sausage sandwich. Until one day, he had a transient ischemic attack right in the middle of driving. Thankfully, he was saved in time. When we reviewed his diet, the picture became crystal clear. Have you ever wondered, are these convenient foods truly nourishing you or quietly betraying you? The brain never shouts a warning until it's too late. That's why I'm telling you this today. 3. Refined sugar, the fake fuel that tricks your brain. I want you to picture this. Our brain is like a finely tuned engine. It needs clean, high-quality fuel to run smoothly. But refined sugar, from candy, soda, syrups, is like pouring dirty gas into your car. At first, it makes the engine roar. You feel alert, energized, ready to go. But just moments later, your energy crashes, and your mind slips into fatigue and fog. Repeat that cycle day after day, and this delicate system starts to wear down. I think of James, a 59-year-old accountant. He told me, "Doctor, I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, but I do love my sodas and pastries." At first, he just noticed he was forgetting clients' names. A few years later, his memory had declined noticeably. Tests showed his blood sugar was consistently high, and his brain had already begun to shrink slightly, a step closer to dementia. Science is clear. Refined sugar fuels inflammation in the brain, damages the tiny blood vessels that feed your nerve cells. It's not an overnight disaster. It's a slow, silent process, like termites eating away at wood from the inside. So the question is, are you unknowingly feeding your brain fake fuel every single day? 4. Trans fat, the memory killer. I want you to imagine this. You're standing in your kitchen opening a warm pack of buttery cookies or biting into a crispy golden French fry. Delicious, familiar, and let's be honest, hard to resist. But for your brain, this isn't just an innocent little snack. In over 25 years of practicing medicine, I've met many patients who regularly ate margarine, foods fried multiple times, or packaged pastries without giving it a second thought. One of them was Samuel, 65. He came in saying he was just a little forgetful. Brain scans showed weakened neural connections, partly due to years of eating foods high in trans fat. Science is clear. Trans fat increases inflammation in the brain and disrupts communication between nerve cells. In other words, it's like rust slowly corroding your memory day by day. Have you ever noticed yourself forgetting a familiar name or walking into a room and not remembering why? Sometimes that's not just getting older. It's the consequence of years of overlooked eating habits. Cutting back on trans fat isn't about getting up joy. It's about giving your memory more time to stay sharp and strong. And trust me, your brain will thank you every single day. 5. Excess salt, shrinking your brain over time. I want you to picture this. Our brain is like a lush, thriving garden. But every day, if you quietly sprinkle too much salt on it, the blood vessels that nourish this garden will slowly dry up. And when those vessels weaken, the branches of memory, focus, and thinking skills begin to wither and break. Over my years in practice, I've met many patients who think salt only makes them thirsty or raises blood pressure. But science has shown that in older adults, a high-salt diet doesn't just put strain on the heart and blood vessels, it can actually cause the brain to shrink faster. That means memory loss, slower reflexes, and a higher risk of dementia. I remember James, 72, who was proud that his blood pressure was just a little high. He still ate pickles, deli meats, and canned soup every day. When we did an MRI, his brain volume was smaller than average for his age. He stayed silent for a long moment, then said, "I wish I had known this sooner." You see, sometimes the enemy of memory isn't loud or immediately painful. It quietly sneaks into your daily meals. And you can change that, starting today, with just a little less salt. Alcohol, the silent slower of your mind. I want you to picture this. A warm summer evening, friends gathered around, a glass of wine in your hand, laughter filling the air. One drink, probably harmless. But when that one drink becomes an everyday ritual, the story changes. I once had a patient, Richard, 64, a man who had always been sharp and full of life. But in recent years, he started complaining about forgetting people's names and reacting slower while driving. When we talked more deeply, he realized he'd been drinking a few beers every night for over 20 years. Brain scans and tests showed damage to his nerve cells and a clear decline in his processing speed. Alcohol, whether it's beer, wine, or hard liquor, over time can shrink brain tissue, slow communication between nerve cells, and leave you with slower reflexes, poorer memory, and a higher risk of degenerative brain diseases. The scary part is it happens silently, little by little, until one day it's too late to reverse. I'm not saying you have to give it up completely, but ask yourself, do I drink because I truly enjoy it or just out of habit? Your brain is the one thing you can't replace. Keep it sharp so you can fully enjoy the years ahead. 7. I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, today, what have you fed your brain? I'm not just talking about avoiding sugar or fried foods. Have you truly nourished it? In over 20 years of working with people over 50, I've noticed something interesting. Most folks are diligent about avoiding the bad, cutting out sweets, staying away from greasy food, but they forget to replace it with the good. It's like clearing weeds from a garden but forgetting to plant new seeds. Before long, the weeds will come back. The brain works the same way. I remember Patrick, 64, who came to see me for memory lapses and fatigue. He proudly told me he'd completely quit soda and fried foods. But when I asked more, I learned his meals were almost void of leafy greens, fish, nuts, or berries. We forget that leafy greens bring antioxidants, fatty fish rich in omega-3s help reduce inflammation in brain blood vessels, and nuts and berries nourish nerve cells. You see, avoiding the bad is good, but feeding yourself with the good is the real key to keeping your brain healthy for the long run. And sometimes the simplest change is adding in, not just cutting out. I want you to imagine this. Every time you pick up a can of soda or a bag of processed chips, it's like placing a tiny brick across the road that carries blood and oxygen to your brain. Not all at once, but little by little, that road narrows, and one day, it could be completely blocked. I once had a patient, Michael, 64 years old. He told me, "Doctor, I don't smoke, I don't drink much, but I do love an ice-cold soda and potato chips every night." When we ran tests, his brain arteries already had thick plaque buildup. He was shocked. He thought avoiding cigarettes and alcohol was enough. But the truth is, it's often the small, daily habits that become the brain's silent killers. That's why I always recommend the Smart Swap principle. Replace soda with fresh water or a warm cup of herbal tea. Trade deep-fried foods for fragrant steamed or baked dishes. And instead of processed snacks, keep a jar of walnuts or almonds on your kitchen counter. These small changes aren't about harsh dieting. They're about nourishing your brain and extending your years of clarity. When you treat your body with smart, loving choices, it will return the favor in ways you can feel every day. I want you to pause for a moment and think about this. Every bite you take today doesn't just fuel your body for the next few hours. It's quietly laying a brick, either building or breaking, the bridge between you and your memory 20 years from now. It might sound far off, but I've seen it happen over and over again. One of my patients, Richard, 64, loved fast food. He told me, "Doc, I've been eating this way my whole life and I'm still fine." But when he started forgetting appointments, getting lost on the drive home, we discovered his brain had been damaged from years of consuming too much refined sugar, saturated fat, and salt. The brain is a delicate organ. It needs clean, nutrient-rich blood vessels to function. But those silent killers of the brain, like soda, deep-fried foods, and processed meats, quietly clog those pathways, cutting off oxygen and energy from reaching each and every nerve cell. I'm not saying you have to give up everything you love, but ask yourself, is this bite helping me remember my grandchild's name 20 years from now, or is it slowly taking that away? The choice is yours, and it starts with your very next meal.